zero sexual connotations at all. I mean, yes, some dirty-minded Unitarian Universalist minister or litigation lawyer might read it the wrong way, but that's their problem. That's their dirty mind, not mine. Seriously. To try to construe that the phrase sucks and blows at the same time is about sexual stuff is just ludicrous. You might as well accuse me of sexual harassment of Reverend Dr. Peter Morales for referring to him by his first name, which, as people know, does have a double meaning. Peter is another word for penis. Am I sexually harassing Reverend Dr. Peter Morales just because I refer to him by his first name? It's just insane. It really just shows how totally out to lunch top-level Unitarian Universalist so-called religious leaders, so-called moral leaders can be. We're just picking up the picket signs I got blown over. I have to make some new ones. The picket signs I was displaying earlier in the year, I accidentally left at another protest and forgot. And so they disappeared. I could have possibly retrieved them from the protest organizers, but it was not certain that they, kept them, so I didn't bother. I just said, I'll make new picket signs. I had to make new picket signs anyway. They were getting a little scruffy. So I've been meaning to make new picket signs for about a couple of months now. One of the reasons I haven't protested quite as much as I might have is partly due to the fact that I need to make new picket signs. Nothing wrong with the ones I'm holding and the ones I'm displaying, but they don't address the specific issues that I want to address at the moment. Those being the false and malicious blasphemous libel accusation against me, not to mention Montreal Gazette Sue Montgomery's complicity in Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse cover-up and denial. Gotta work on it. I actually, I'm halfway there. I've made the initial steps. I just haven't completed making the new picket signs, but I expect they'll be ready for next weekend. They'll certainly be ready for next year. So I got somebody looking at my picket signs here, stopping and having a read. So that's interesting. That happens every now and then. I used to have people pull over and ask questions, but now that they've put the bike lane in, a car cannot pull up and ask questions because it'll be blocking the bike zone. Who knows? Maybe Montreal Unitarians lobbied for a bike lane in front of their church just so they could avoid that particular scenario. I really wouldn't put it past them. Jeremy Searle, who's a city councillor in NDG, is also a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. And Jeremy Searle has been involved in previous attempts to suppress my protest. Jeremy Searle was a prosecution witness in a criminal trial that I went through where I was falsely accused of disrupting the order and solemnity of church services at the Unitarian Church of Montreal. There's a section of the, good day, sir. I'll take care of that.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Somebody's got to do it. So the guy says, good job. Which is nice. I get plenty of moral support from the public. Unitarian Universalists don't seem to understand, just how high the level of support is. Not everyone who walks by or drives by says anything, but of the ones who do, of the people who do respond to this protest one way or another, the positive and supportive response is overwhelmingly larger than the negative responses. Somewhere like 8 or 9 out of 10 people who respond to my protest do so in a positive and supportive manner, as opposed to, the 1 or 2 out of 10 who don't. The 1 or 2 out of 10 who make some sort of negative response. So I don't think the Unitarians really understand just how far out of alignment with the public they really are on a variety of issues. Not the least of them being, the misuse of blasphemy law to cover up and deny such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers and indeed certain Unitarian Universalist religious educators. Unitarian Universalist religious educators were not mentioned in the cease and desist demand letter that falsely accused me of blasphemous libel. But the fact of the matter is that a certain number of Unitarian Universalist religious educators are just as guilty of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape as certain Unitarian Universalist ministers are. So I really do think that the Unitarian Universalist Association just has to tell the truth. It has to come clean about just how many Unitarian Universalist ministers and religious educators have actually been convicted and jailed for such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. There's a certain number. And they also have to tell the truth about how many Unitarian Universalist ministers have been credibly accused of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape and other serious clergy sexual misconduct, even if they haven't actually been convicted of those crimes. It's time for the Unitarian Universalist Association to tell the truth and start cleaning up their act. Just the other day, just late last week, another alleged case of a Unitarian Universalist minister being a pedophile, not necessarily a rapist, but definitely accused of being a pedophile, came to my attention, one that I was not aware of previously. I will be looking into it, but it comes from a quite credible source. This particular Unitarian Universalist minister seems to be quite obscure. He's with a small little church in New Hampshire, and there's really not a lot of information available about him online. It looks pretty serious what I saw. I don't mind saying that the information came from SNAP, which is an organization that primarily deals with Catholic clergy sexual abuse. And according to SNAP, the minister in question, that is the Unitarian Universalist minister in New Hampshire in question, was formerly a Roman Catholic priest who was essentially defrocked for abuse of children, not just sexual abuse. In fact, there's one allegation about him holding a kid's head underwater, as a display of power kind of thing. But there's also sexual abuse allegations, which may go so far as rape. So I have to look into that more carefully. There's a good number of cases of Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in either pedophilia or rape, or both at the same time. And again, religious educators, and yet they're very hidden. The church, the Unitarian Universalist Association and individual Unitarian Universalist churches have actually been quite successful in keeping these things out of the news, keeping them hidden as much as possible. And as I said, even after people have been convicted, they're still trying to cover it up. It's insane. You know, I mean, I blogged about 2 people who were convicted and went to jail for such despicable crimes, pedophilia and rape. And here's the Unitarian Universalist Association having the unmitigated gall to accuse me of the crime of blasphemous libel for blogging about these cases where people are actually convicted. Totally insane. Or as I like to say, bat-shit crazy. Coming up for the end of another half hour of protesting. So that's pretty well a full hour of protesting here. I'm going to take a little break. Have a cup of tea or coffee or something. Nah, you know what? I was thinking of coming back, but you know what? I don't think I'm going to bother. I had a pretty good run. People saw my signs. I'd say at least 15 to 20 people entering the Unitarian Church of Montreal saw my signs. Lots of traffic. So yeah, I think I've had enough of a good protest today. No need to come back as they're leaving. So yeah, we're done. Just pack up the picket signs, go have some lunch, and try and find something else of interest to do today.
Because the guy.